but it's open right now.
Oh, my God.
So don't delay.
Thank you guys for doing the best at what you do.
Log on to KBLATalk1580.com right now and register to join us for an afternoon of good music, good people, and good vibes.
Happy anniversary.
Wednesday, June 19th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. We will provide the food and drink, but be sure to bring your low-back chairs, blankets, and your personal picnic baskets.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Let's celebrate 3 years of being the most trusted, credible, and reliable source of news and information.
We love you, KBLA.
We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're black and stride again.
Black and stride again.
Happy anniversary.
1, 2, 3, go. Ha, ha. I'm gonna try to keep it coming. Things ain't always smooth, but I'll be alright as long as I can find the groove. Yes, I will. Somehow I know that I can make it. You seem to like my style. Don't you worry, I'm gonna be around a while. Yes, I will. I'm just happy to see you talk to me back and style again.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavissmileyshow.com. That's thetavissmileyshow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. In our second hour, a conversation with education leader and author Brian Rashad Fuller about disrupting the school-to-prison pipeline. His new book is titled Being Black in America's Schools, a Student Educator Reformer's Call for Change. In our third hour, two conversations. Up first, former Nixon White House counsel John Dean offers us his unique take on Donald Trump's historic conviction. Many have made comparisons between Donald Trump and Richard Nixon. Of course, the Watergate scandal forced Nixon out of the White House. Still others say that Trump is no Nixon, that he is far worse than Richard Nixon. We'll get Nixon's White House counsel John Dean to sound off on that at the top of hour three. On the B side of hour three, a conversation with CEO and health coach A.D. Dolphin about the physical and psychological toll that diets take on our well-being and why more black folk are turning to alternative health. And A.D. will introduce us to his health and wellness brand. It's called D-Herbs. That on the B side of hour three. But in this first hour, two more conversations. There is a black woman running for governor in Washington State. You all saw the news that a woman, a sister, has won the presidency in Mexico. First time they've had a female president, a woman president in Mexico. Congrats to her. But there's a woman running for the governor in Washington State here in this country. Her name is Ilona Kearney, and you will meet her on the back side of this hour, but she joins us live in studio to talk about her campaign, her gubernatorial campaign in the state of Washington. But we commence today's show with one of my favorite guests, retired Judge LaDoris Cordell. I have been waiting all weekend to get her unique perspective on the conviction of former President Donald Trump. Before I jump to her, here's some sound now. Let me get started with her and give Miles a chance to cue this up. I want the sound from Donald Trump on Friday, Miles, going off a little bit while Miles pulls that up. Judge Cordell, good to have you back on the program. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, Tavis, and I'm glad to be back with you.
I'm glad to be back in conversation with you. Let me just give you a chance. I want the audience to see how this works. I'm going to do a little magic here. Watch how this works. I will not ask Judge Cordell a question. I would just say, Judge Cordell, go.
I'm all set. So let me just tell you that the conviction of Donald Trump, I'm not surprised. I am surprised that it was unanimous on all 34. So what this means next is that there's only one person that counts, and that is Judge Merchan, because he's the only person that can sentence Donald Trump on July 11th. When judges sentence individuals, they have guidelines. They have what are called mitigators and aggravators, and the judge weighs all of those to determine what kind of punishment should be imposed. So I thought about this. I thought, well, what are the mitigators for Donald Trump when he stands in front of the judge? Mm-hmm. Well, there's his age. The man's a senior citizen. He's almost 80 years old. This is his first-time offense, and the offense he's committed is, in fact, nonviolent, although his words have generated threats of violence. That's all I have on the mitigator side. So if I'm the judge listening, I look at the aggravators. What do I have? This is not a victimless crime. He has bamboozled millions of voters into voting for him by engaging in this cover-up. So this is not victimless. That's an aggravator. He has been held in contempt almost 12 times, and that means he has blatantly violated court orders. Then there's the next issue. Is he likely to repeat recidivism? Oh, yes, he is, in my view. He has no qualms about engaging in this kind of behavior. And finally, remorse. So when a defendant gets in front of me and I say, all right, talk to me, what I want to hear is, I'm so sorry, I am contrite, I'm remorseful, just please forgive me. Do you think Donald Trump will engage in that kind of behavior or say those words? Absolutely not. So I have a bunch of aggravators on the one side, and I have fewer mitigators. And that's what judges are supposed to do. Then look at it and say, okay, what do I do with this person? So in my view, it is quite clear. If this were a low-income person, a person of color, who came in front of a judge and said these nasty things and derided the judge, had no remorse, had been held in contempt, easy. You're going to go do some time. Get your toothbrush. You're gone. So what is the difference here? What is the difference here with Donald Trump, who is engaged in these behaviors? If we do not have a double standard, the judge shouldn't even have an issue. It's like, off you go, off you go. So initially, those are just my thoughts about what ought to happen when one comes in front of a trial judge having been convicted of 34 felonies.
This is why she's one of my favorite guests. She knows how to do this, and she did it in the time that I had to allow her to do it. She has set the frame, and when we come forward, I want to get inside that frame and challenge her on a few things. I want to talk about those mitigators. I love how she laid this out. The mitigators, the aggravators, and remorse. Remorse being, of course, one of the significant aggravators, but that's the category that we're in, or the categories we'll be in when we come forward. Mitigators versus aggravators. That's why you have Judge Cordell on to set this frame properly. We'll talk about that when we come forward. This is June. June is Black Music Month. You know how we do it every day during the month of June that I'm on the air. We have a featured artist of the day. Today, in 1942, this man was born. We'll celebrate him all 3 hours today. His name is Curtis Mayfield, and you're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Are you not feeling like yourself today? Has your weight loss plateaued? If so, it's time to embrace the D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse, a cleansing regimen that can help you lose 10 to 30 pounds in just 20 days. You heard me, 10 to 30 pounds in just 20 days. The D-Herbs Cleanse also helps to boost your immune system, improve mental clarity, clear up your skin, and improves your digestion. This cleanse is like a factory reset for your health. The Full Body Cleanse is a great way to propel you into a healthier lifestyle. And with summer just around the corner, there's never been a better time to initiate the weight loss that you need and reboot your system. So go to dherbs.com and order your Full Body Cleanse today, or call 866-434-3727. Enter KBLA 1580 at checkout for a discount. D-Herbs, experience healing.
Cookie wants to be a professional wrestler. I'm Cookie Serratos, and I'm 11 years old.
She also wants to win all the medals. That's why Cookie and her family make every day count, squeezing out her best with Go-Go Squeeze.
Okay, Cookie, let's break for a Go-Go Squeeze.
Go-Go Squeeze fruit-on-the-go pouches are a nutritious snack made from 100% fruit with no sugar added.
Call Cookie!
Because when you nurture your kids, you squeeze out the best in them. Squeeze out the best with Go-Go Squeeze. Not a low-calorie food. Products range from 11 to 13 grams of sugar and 60 to 70 calories per serving.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20, a Pfizer vaccine.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California. Home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Aviterus, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising@KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got you black. Sounds different. Huh? This is Tavis Smiley.
It's June, and June, as you well know, is Black Music Month, and around here, every June, we spend the entire month with a featured artist of the day, and we will share their music with you all 3 hours. Today, it's Curtis Mayfield, in case you just tuned in. Curtis Mayfield, born on this day, in fact, in 1942, so all 3 hours today, some of the best of Curtis Mayfield in and out of these conversations as we celebrate his particular artistic genius. To my mind, he is one of the most underrated artists of all time. People don't give Curtis Mayfield his props. I was with Dr. Cornell West yesterday. Happy belated birthday to Dr. West. Doc turned 71 yesterday. We were together for most of the day yesterday, talking about all kinds of things and just celebrating his natal day. And we talked yesterday about Curtis Mayfield, and I was reminded that his birthday is today. And so we commence this June celebrating black music with Curtis Mayfield. Our guest in this hour is Judge LaDoris Cordell. Honored as always to have her on. And she sounded off already on her take on the Donald Trump conviction. If you did not hear it, she put us in the proper frame. And that frame now is the frame that Judge Merchan is in, will be in the coming days when it comes to sentencing for Donald Trump. And she explained how that as a judge, when you're at this point in the case, you have to consider mitigators versus aggravators in your sentencing order. Mitigators versus aggravators, and we'll talk about that when we come forward. Her book is called Her Honor, My Life on the Bench, What Works, What's Broken, and How to Change It. One of the best books I've read in the last couple of years. I always highly recommend it. Once again, it's called Her Honor, My Life on the Bench, What Works, What's Broken, How to Change It. That's the book by Judge LaDoris Hazard Cordell. Before we jump back into our dialogue with her, here now some sound from Donald Trump on Friday.
They're coming in from all over the world into our country. And we have a president and a group of fascists that don't want to do anything about it because they could right now, today. He could stop it. But he's not. They're destroying our country. Our country is in very bad shape. And they're very much against me saying these things. They want to raise your taxes by 4 times. They want to stop you from having cars with their ridiculous mandates that make it impossible for you to get a car or afford a car. But make it very possible for China to build all of our cars. It's a very serious problem that we have. We just went through one of many experiences where we had a conflicted judge, highly conflicted. There's never been a more conflicted judge. Now, I'm under a gag order, which nobody's ever been under. No presidential candidate's ever been under a gag order before. I'm under a gag order, nasty gag order, where I've had to pay thousands of dollars in penalties and fines and was threatened with jail. Think of it. I'm the leading candidate. I'm leading Biden by a lot, and I'm leading the Republicans to the point where that's over. So I'm the leading person for president, and I'm under a gag order by a man that can't put 2 sentences together, given by a court, and they are in total conjunction with the White House and the DOJ, just so you understand. This is all done by Biden and his people. And maybe his people more importantly. I don't know if Biden knows too much about it.
Judge Cordell, I want to give you a chance just to respond. There's a lot there. We could spend an hour or two just on that. I don't have that kind of time. I wish I did with you guys. Enjoy talking to you. I want to give you a chance to respond to what Donald Trump said there, and then we'll get back to your mitigators and aggravators. Before I do that, though, I told my staff last week, I'm looking at them right now. I'm not one to say I told you so, but I'm saying it today. I told you so. I'm looking at my producers and everybody else in this building. I told everybody in this building last week when that verdict came in that in the next 24 to 48 hours, Donald Trump is going to raise $100 million. They said, Tavis, get out of here, man. $100 million? I said, yes, Negroes. He going to raise $100 million minimum in the next 24 to 48 hours. They laughed at me, y'all. My staff looked me in the face. I pay these Negroes. They looked at me and they laughed at me when I said $100 million minimum. Brace yourself in case you haven't heard the news. Since Thursday, when the verdict came in, Donald Trump has raised over $200 million, $70 million, we are told, from small donors. $70 million from small donors, they tell us, but over $200 million raised since the verdict came in on Thursday. George Cordell, your thoughts first about what Trump had to say, and then we'll get back to your mitigators versus aggravators.
Well, Tavis, I'm sitting here shaking my head. It's not funny, this stuff that's going on, but I'm shaking my head. Donald Trump, when I compare, I look at Biden, I look at Trump. Biden is aging. We can see it, but his mental acuity is fine. I mean, he's 80 years old. Donald Trump, in my view, is dementing. He goes on rants. He's unhinged. What he says doesn't make sense. And that's a very big difference between dementing and aging. So what he had to say, he was all over the place and spouting lies. Every time that man opens his mouth, the words that come out of his mouth are lies. And as you've just talked about all of the money that's been raised, these are people whom I absolutely do not understand. I do not understand why, particularly people who don't have much money, will give money to this man. I don't, and I decided not to spend my time trying to figure it out or understand why. So he can raise all the money he wants to raise. The bottom line is we need people who will go and vote, who will vote, and particularly people in communities of color. We need to vote. Let me just add one last thing. I'm very disturbed when I hear reports of particularly black folks saying, well, I'm not going to vote. Biden didn't come to my community. And I'm thinking, get out of this narrow tunnel and look at the big picture. Presidents appoint Supreme Court justices. And right now we have Clarence Thomas saying we need to back off. He doesn't even support he didn't even support Brown versus Board of Education. I mean, really. So we really need to have a wider view of what's going on here in this country.
Again, Judge Cordell always puts it so beautifully. I love that frame of dementing versus aging. Never heard it quite put that way. Joe Biden may be aging, but Donald Trump is dementing. There's a nice formulation for you, dementing versus aging. Now back, speaking to nice formulations, to mitigators versus aggravators. This is what a judge has to do, and Judge Cordell should know. She did it for many, many years. So Donald Trump, at some point in the not-too-distant future, is going to have to face Judge Merchan to be sentenced, and that judge will make his decision based on these mitigators versus aggravators. Judge Cordell ran a list of aggravators. She only offered one mitigator. The mitigator she offered was that Donald Trump is almost 80. So speaking of age, his age is a mitigator. But I think the biggest mitigator, the largest mitigator, is the one that we're talking around but not talking about. The largest mitigator is that he is a white male former U.S. president. I know that should not be taken into consideration, but I cannot imagine that Judge Merchan doesn't have that, if not in the forefront, in the back of his mind. That, to my mind, Judge Cordell, is the largest mitigator. Your response?
Well, I have to respectfully disagree.
Fair enough.
When we look at the guidelines that list, at least in California, there are mitigators and aggravators. It's not one of them is not on either list. The status of the person, meaning former president, or maybe they were, somebody who got kicked out of a big organization and was no, those are not, because the idea is that there is no double standard. Your status should make no difference. But there are, as I said, there are other mitigators. Like he's a first-time offender, and we look at whether or not these were violent offenses. But I want to add one other thing that judges do in sentencing. Donald Trump will have to go to the probation department, and he will have to speak with the probation officer. He doesn't have to say anything at all. He can sit there and remain silent. That won't help him at all. But one of the things, and this is why I raised the dementing issue, if you listen to previous statements by Trump, he gets his words mixed up, he slurs words, he talks about, for example, he went to Gettysburg and he spoke, and none of it made any sense. So what a judge can do, and what I think Merchan should do, is order a mental health evaluation of Donald Trump. And that's a consideration when sentence is imposed. So he would have to sit and have a psychological evaluation to determine, again, this helps the judge decide, what am I going to do with this person? So this is something that's never come up. No one's ever discussing it publicly. But because of his past behaviors, if I were the judge, I'd say, you go to probation, but I also want a psych eval on this person before I can impose a sentence.
I understand, and I'm glad you respectfully disagreed. Obviously, I was not. I won't say I was being tongue-in-cheek, but my point obviously was that the whole world knows he's a former president, and Judge Merchan knows that. And again, I believe that is impossible for him to, even all the nasty things that Trump said about him, including what we just played on this tape from Friday, and Trump will say more between now and sentencing time. He is not backing down, but Judge Merchan clearly knows that this is a former U.S. president, and so he is not like any other defendant. And at some point, I think even for certain Americans, given our stature in the world, you mentioned status, given our stature in the world, are you concerned at all that at some point, if Judge Merchan does in fact treat him like an ordinary, everyday person, to quote Sly Stone, everyday people, that it crosses a line into unseemliness?
The only thing I hear people saying, and I just don't give it any credence, is that, well, if he gives him any time at all, then there's going to be violence, and my response is, if you want an independent judiciary, you focus on what goes on in the courtroom, and you do not take into account what the mob might do. So, no, listen, judges are human beings. Of course Judge Merchan knows who he's dealing with. He's also dealing with a man who, right after sentencing, called Merchan the devil. So this is all in the public domain. The judge knows. One thing a judge cannot do is be vindictive. So if Judge Merchan decides, you know what, I know I need the sentence, but this man has called me so many names, threatened my family, talked about my daughter, I can't possibly be fair, then that judge has an obligation to recuse himself, and then the case gets assigned to another judge for sentencing. So Merchan so far has handled himself, I mean, he's taken the high road on everything. And if he continues to take the high road, then he will
Yeah.
appropriately sentence this man without being vindictive.
I got a couple minutes left here, and I want to come right to that point because you're right. Obviously, he is a human being, and he has taken the high road publicly. But neither you nor I know what is in his heart. After all that Donald Trump, as you just laid out, has said about him, called him the devil, not the devil incarnate, just the devil, and talked about his family, threatened him, et cetera, et cetera. How do you not take that personally? How do you ignore that? How do you not act in vindictive ways? Again, I can't see inside of his heart. I just see how he behaves on the bench, but he's a human being.
I agree with you, but I'm telling you, had I been in Judge Merchan's place, I would be able to do that. And I think this judge can too. That's why we do this work. And it's about not being vindictive, but hearing this person come into court. And then, say whatever he has to say, and the judge acts accordingly. If we only have a minute or two, let me just throw out one thing that nobody's talking about. A convicted felon is prohibited from entering 6 countries in the world. Those 6 countries are the UK, Canada, China, Japan, India, and Israel. Donald Trump cannot, as long as he is a convicted felon, enter those countries. They have entry restrictions. And think, if he ever, God help us, were reelected, and then there were issues where he had to address and go to other countries, he could not go to England, Canada, China, Japan, India, or Israel because that man is a convicted felon.
I had a guest on last week, another former judge, and his point, Judge Cordell, was somewhat tongue-in-cheek but serious, that if Donald Trump is elected and does what he says he's going to do, which is to release all those folk that are jailed in prison for their bad behavior in January 6th, you'd have a convicted felon pardoning, releasing other convicted felons. How's that strike you?
That's totally bizarre. And another reason why we cannot have this man be elected to the presidency. It's also interesting because Donald Trump has just argued about voting rights for felons, that felons should not be allowed to vote. And he's just made all kinds of arguments against our criminal legal system. And look at all this that's happening here, and it all really comes back on him. He is a 34-time convicted felon.
Finally, in 30 seconds here, the chances I think are pretty high. You tell me. I'm not a former judge. Chances are pretty high that whatever Judge Merchan does, he'll stay out on appeal, and that appeal could take years.
Appeals, and a good point. I'll try to do it very quickly. An appeal, person stays out on appeal if the judge believes there's a very good issue that might get overturned. If the judge feels very secure in everything that's been done, then a judge is not obligated in any way to let the person stay out on appeal. That's really going to be entirely in Judge Merchan's purview.
I'm out of time. I could do this for hours with her. She's brilliant, as you can tell. Her book is called Her Honor, My Life on the Bench, What Works, What's Broken, and How to Change It. She is retired Judge LaDoris Hazard Cordell, who I've been delighted to have on this program. Judge Cordell, we'll do it again. Thanks for your time as always.
Thank you so much.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The conviction of Donald Trump is uniting the Republican Party. That's what African-American South Carolina Senator Tim Scott told Fox News Sunday. Scott said so-called never-Trumpers are now backing the Trump campaign, noting a surge of small donor donations to the campaign following Trump's conviction last week. Hunter Biden is in a Delaware federal courtroom today for his firearms case. Jury selection is underway in the trial of the president's son. Biden is accused of illegally buying and possessing a gun while being addicted to drugs in 2018. Hunter's stepmom, First Lady Jill Biden, and half-sister Ashley Biden are in attendance at the courthouse as well. It marks the first time in U.S. history the child of a sitting president has gone on trial. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Find the perfect Father's Day gift with Macy's Gift Finder. In just a couple clicks, you'll get personalized gift ideas for every dad at every budget. Visit Macy's.com/gift finder and give love today at Macy's.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Simone Biles let the world know she's ready for the Summer Olympics this year in Paris. The four-time Olympic gold medalist won the all-around competition Sunday at the U.S. Gymnastics Championships for the 9th time in her career. The UCLA women's softball team was eliminated from the World Series. They lost to Stanford in the quarterfinals. UCLA finished a strong season at 43-12. The new ownership group of the NFL Washington Commanders, which includes Magic Johnson, is not going to deal with any drama from players or staff. The Commanders cut place kicker Brandon McManus a week after a lawsuit was filed against him by two women accusing him of sexual misconduct. The Washington franchise went through several allegations of sexual misconduct and harassment in the workplace under former owner Dan Snyder. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like your style, though.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my side softer?
Can I make my side firmer whenever I want? Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. 94% of Sleep Number smart sleepers report better sleep. JD Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in-store. And now save 50% on the Sleep Number limited edition smart bed. For JD Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies candidates with the right skills, sends you great matches, then you can easily invite them to apply. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. See for yourself. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free to try ZipRecruiter for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready to re-examine your assumptions and expand your inventory of ideas? More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
Everybody gather around and listen to my song. I've only got one. We who are young should now take a stand. Don't run from the burdens of women and men. Continue to give. Continue to live for what you know is right. Most of your life.
I'm Tavis Smiley, and that is Curtis Mayfield. And we are playing some of the best of Curtis Mayfield all 3 hours of today's program because June is Black Music Month. And in Black Music Month, it is our way to choose a particular artist of the day. We call it an artist in residence. And our artist in residence today is Curtis Mayfield. So inside of all these conversations on today's program, you'll hear some of the best of Curtis Mayfield, born today, 1942. And as I said earlier in today's program, he's one of the most underrated artists ever. And so we celebrate the giftedness, the life and legacy of one Curtis Mayfield as we celebrate June, Black Music Month. Speaking of Black Music Month and black people, let me offer a couple thoughts on 2 black women who made news this weekend, both in somber situations. I could put it that way. First, of course, you all saw the news of Michelle Obama's mother passing. Ms. Marion Robinson. Only met her once or twice. Just an amazing, amazing, amazing person. And that decision she made to move to Washington, leave her friends and family behind to take care of her grandbabies while the president and the first lady went about their duties. That's what black people have always done. It ain't nothing unique or different. We take care of each other. Family is family. But what a major sacrifice. And I saw President Obama say that she is the most down-to-earth person he'd ever met. And that she never did quite understand what all the fuss was all about. That she stayed up in the residence and took care of those grandbabies of hers. Sasha and Malia didn't spend a lot of time hanging out, didn't want to come down to meet celebrities. According to President Obama, she only asked to meet one person in 8 years, and that was the Pope. Other than that, she didn't care. She stayed upstairs, but just a very down-to-earth person. So our thoughts and condolences to the Obama family, certainly to the former First Lady, Michelle Obama, on the loss of her precious mother, Marion Robinson. And then news broke yesterday that our sister and friend Sheila Jackson Lee, Congresswoman out of Houston, announced yesterday that she has pancreatic cancer. Longtime member of Congress, the leader in the fight for reparations, given that John Conyers passed and some years ago after he left Congress. So Sheila Jackson Lee has taken that mantle up on reparations on the Hill. And so our thoughts and prayers with Sheila Jackson Lee as she battles this pancreatic cancer fight in the days to come. I will call her later today, I hope, and get a chance to speak to her. We've been friends for a lot of years. I want to give her a little moment to breathe. But our thoughts and prayers to Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee out of Houston. Speaking of black women, I'm pleased to have one in studio right now. Her name is Alona Kearney. She is a gubernatorial candidate in the state of Washington. Yeah, you heard me right, not D.C., but the state of Washington. There's a black woman running for governor, and I'm pleased to have her in studio. How are you today?
I am doing awesome. How are you?
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. It is good to see you, good to have you in studio. Let me make the most of this time that we have. Tell me, let me start with that name. Your name is spelled Alona, E-L-O-N-A. If you want to look up and read about her, it's E-L-O-N-A. Kearney is spelled K-E-A-R-N-E-Y. Alona Kearney is her name, gubernatorial candidate in the state of Washington. Tell me briefly about Alona Kearney.
Yes, well...
What's that name mean, first of all?
The name means God loves me, so L in Hebrew is God.
I like that. I wish my name meant God love me. I know he does.
So whenever you said my name the whole time, you kept saying it. God love
God love me. Okay, I like that, but I'm pumped. All right, go ahead. Tell me more. Tell me more.
So to know a little bit about me is to know where I come from, which is my grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a strong line of women, strong women. My grandmother, she was Pastor Bonnie D. Jackson, Church of God in Christ.
All right.
And
Kojic in the house.
Yeah.
All right.
So when segregation ended, she didn't stop the job that she had. She was a house cleaner, so she made a business out of it for doctors, lawyers, and it wasn't because she didn't feel she was smart or they felt she wasn't capable. Those families have always been great to our family, and for my mom, she also continued that on of being resourceful, resilient. Whenever someone in the community went lacking or got laid off, they knew how to fundraise and bring everyone together to make sure everyone was always taken care of. And my mom, she was always they would always start things that were community builders. It didn't matter that you were white. Hey, you're a brother. As long as we can work together and get over this bridge together and mend bridges.
This is all in Washington State?
This is in Florida.
In Florida, okay.
Yes.
Got it.
So, my family is all in Florida.
Okay. How did you get to Washington State?
I got to Washington State. My cousin, he got out the Navy here. So I'm Army, but he's Navy. He got out here.
So you're a veteran?
Yes.
Okay.
And when he got out here, he called. He said, "Hey, cuz, you should move over here. We they give help for black businesses. We'll start a business together." So I got here, bought a house, and he moved back to Florida.
You went to Washington. He went back the other way.
Yeah.
So tell me, why then have you stayed in Washington all these years?
I stayed because I've always would move around, and it's just always that trying to find that sense of belonging. But when I got here, it felt like a balance for both me and my kids because I also homeschool. So I have one outgoing personality and one introvert, and the location of homeschool group that we found, I said, oh, yes, this is the spot. Yeah. And I love it, and it's peaceful right now.
I don't know that I've ever interviewed. I'm thinking now, top of my head, I've interviewed obviously tens of thousands of people over my career. I don't think I've ever interviewed a person running for public office who has homeschooled his or her children. You're the first, I think.
Oh, cool.
Why that decision for you?
Well, in Florida, I went through a situation where my son was being bullied, and it ended up becoming a news issue.
Right.
But I told him, I said, you guys are either trying to put our black men in jail or you're trying to drive them crazy. So because he was being bullied, I told the school, I'm going to go get an attorney because you're not doing anything. Yeah. And when I went to go get the attorney, they took my child. They wouldn't tell me where they took my child to. And they said, oh, we Baker acted him because he's depressed because of you. And I said, that is not true. And I didn't have anyone to, that support system. Right. Well, like everyone, in our community, it's like, well, we can't do anything about what the man is doing. They have more money. Yeah. And so it was frustrating. So when I got him back, I just said, my child is coming home.
Yeah. I understand the decision. I'm glad I asked. I understand why you did it. When we come forward, there's some other things about her candidacy that make her a little uniquely different than others. So one, you hear she's a veteran. There are other veterans who've run for office, but she's a black woman veteran. That makes her uniquely different. You heard that she homeschooled her children. When we come forward, I want you to hear about her husband. This has become, she's been very transparent about it. It's been reported in this campaign in the state of Washington. Her husband has a fascinating backstory. I want you to hear about her husband. That makes her uniquely different. Then we'll talk about her platform and why she's running for governor in the state of Washington. You're listening to Alona Kearney, a gubernatorial candidate in Washington State right now, and I'm glad about it, on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well-trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your Senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
Hi, Tavis Smiley here. We're getting closer to June 18th, and time is running out for you to register to join us for our historic symposium live on C-SPAN, Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Admission is free, but you must register at KBLA1580.com right now if you want to be in the audience when the nation will see for the first time ever a stage full of brilliant black folk talking about the urgency of now. Climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. It's all going down. Well, it's actually all going up. Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. live from the California Science Center in Exposition Park. Again, admission is free, but we're filling up fast. So if I were you, I would log on right now to KBLA1580.com to reserve your seat. Caring about the climate, caring about the community. We're KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Who do you trust to get at the truth? Tavis Smiley. That's who. The conversation continues right now.
It does indeed with Alona Kearney, who is a black woman running for governor in the state of Washington. Pleased to have her in studio. Tell me about your husband. I was fascinated to read about him, and you've been very open and transparent about it. And my sense is that your transparency is connecting with people because he ain't the only one in this situation. Tell me about your husband.
So my husband, he was in prison for 24 years, and I call him the poster child of what reform justice should look like because he got out and he's ran for city council and he's always been in the community, making sure that to keep others from being going down that path.
Yep. How has the public responded? How have voters responded? How has the media responded to the story about your husband being formerly incarcerated?
So Washington State is a second chance state, so majority of people are going to be pro that second chance, and so I have been pretty much getting good feedback and about like my policies centered around that.
So it's not been used as a weapon against you.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing. You know how rare that is, right?
Well, I did the Eminem thing. I 8-miled it.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. By the way, Alona Kearney has a book out. It's called Pure Unadulterated Me. Pure Unadulterated Me is the book by Alona Kearney, who is now a gubernatorial candidate in the state of Washington. All right, a bit more about your background, then we'll talk about your platform. So I was reading and preparing for our conversation more about you. You were formerly a member of the Republican Party?
Yes.
All right. Tell me about this part.
I grew up in Florida, and
say no more. No, I'm just teasing.
I can leave it right there.
No, you could, but tell me more.
But when I was graduating from school, our teacher, he took us to the library. He said, do research on all the parties and where you closely align. So being, coming from a Christian background, I align more with the conservative.
On the values.
Yeah, the values.
Yeah.
And so when I moved out here, Washington State is you don't have to pick a party. So I like that because my teachers always told me that I was liberal, or more of a liberalist. But
so you were kind of forced into it, as it were, by your teacher.
Well,
and once you read those platforms,
Well, I wouldn't say my teacher forced me. I still chose that because he said pick what you closely align with, which was the conservative values. But out here, it just felt like I can be whatever it was. Like, if I agree with this, if I agree with you.
And what do you think of the Republican Party these days? Donald Trump and all that nonsense.
When I left the Republicans, because I also sat on a East Side Republican board there, and it was always, I guess you say, tension back and forth. When I say, look, you cannot treat the black community this way, and you're always seeing and judging us and trying to dictate. That's what everyone does, both sides. And it was like, you're not going to listen to me then. You know, it was like, you're too liberal. You must not be a Republican.
So you didn't belong in the first place.
Yeah.
So be careful what you read. That's the moral to this story. While reading is fundamental, read between the lines. Read for what's not there. Read for what's not being said. I digress. When we come forward in our remaining moments with Alona Kearney, gubernatorial candidate in the state of Washington, we'll talk specifically about her platform. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Unapologetically progressive. Unapologetically black. You're tapped into Tavis Smiley.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
My daughter was diagnosed with a rare malignant rhabdoid tumor on the spine. They sent her straight to St. Jude. My hope was gone. But when you get there, everyone's like, hey, we're not going to give up. And when you see other people not giving up on your child, that makes all the difference in the world. When I found out I didn't have to pay, I was just grateful they saved my baby's life.
Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit LAFLA.org. LAFLA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Alona Kearney, who is a gubernatorial candidate in the state of Washington. So sisters these days are not just doing it for themselves, but running for high office all across this country. And here is one live in studio right now running for governor again in Washington State. Her name is Alona, E-L-O-N-A, Kearney, spelled K-E-A-R-N-E-Y. Look her up for yourself. Her book is called Pure Unadulterated Me. Okay, in the 4 minutes I have left, tell me why you are running for governor. I want to learn more about your platform.
I'm running for governor because I not only have political background as far as having a nonprofit where I taught youth, how to write legislative bills, but I also have lived experience, especially on everything that's on my platform about the unhoused, police reform and reduce recidivism, and mental health issues. So I talk about that in my book. I talk about it on my platform. And, a lot of Washington, we feel unheard. And it's about time we have someone who represents us. So I call it more like being the people's advocate.
Talk to me about black people. And these questions are always scary and dangerous to ask because I don't want to generalize. I've traveled a bit throughout the state of Washington. I mentioned to you during the break, I did a documentary years ago for PBS about the criminalization of our education system. I spent a lot of time in Washington talking with a lot of young people, a lot of young white kids, frankly, who had gotten in trouble and who'd been criminalized out of school. And so Washington State was really ground central for this documentary that I did for PBS. So I spent some time there traveling throughout the state, but mostly I spent time in Seattle. Like most of us, you go to Washington State, you're likely going to be in Seattle for something. Yes. And I love Seattle. Great city. They've always been very kind to me there. But talk to me about, as a black woman candidate, about black people in Washington State. What kind of response are you getting from them, black voters?
It's kind of a mixture. You have those. Because
you're running as a Democrat, I should be clear about that.
Yes.
You are a Democratic candidate. Go ahead,
yes.
I'm sorry.
So I get a mixture. You have those who feel like, oh, it's just hopeless. Why we bother? And why they some of them said they've unregistered to vote. I had to get them to register just to vote for me.
Re-registered, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then there are others who feel like, oh, okay, well, we're fine with the status quo because they're giving so-and-so this, and maybe we'll get that. And so it's just kind of like we're just all over the place. We're not unified.
Are there black elected officials in Washington in the State House?
Talking about, we have some senators.
You have some senators, okay. How I'm asking this because I'm curious as to how you're being treated or not treated, respected or not respected by the black power base, the black electeds that are already in office. Yeah.
If you go on my social media, you'll find my call out. Yes, Mayor Victoria Woodard, all of them have ignored me, and they've seen me in public, and I've talked to them, asking to speak with them, and it's been they have this tight group, and that's the problem that we always get. We'll get there, and we'll shut others out. Or, it's like we have to be catty over a spot. So
you're a Democrat, but it sounds to me like even as a Democrat, it reminds me of my friend Hill Harper, the actor who's running for Senate in Michigan. Yeah. Hill was in the studio in the same seat you're in now some time ago. So I talked to everybody, even those who are running as outsiders. So Hill's a Democrat, you're a Democrat, but Hill's running clearly as an outsider in Michigan. And it sounds like even though you're a Democrat, you're running as an outsider in Washington State. Would you accept that?
Yes.
Yeah. You relish that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That made me special.
Yeah. I love the smile. If you ain't bothered by it, I ain't bothered by it. And there can be value. There can be value, especially these days, in running as an outsider. Outsiders have things to say that matter.
I see it as, the person who gets to go work out in the gym and the person who gets to has to do it from scratch out at the beach. They have more stamina. They have more agility of all of their parts, whereas the other person is just stationary.
On those machines, yeah. I get you. Her name is Alona Kearney. Again, spelled EL''ONA, which means God loves me. Yes. So I should keep saying that. Alona. God loves me.
A whole lot.
See, a whole lot, yeah. Her last name is Kearney, Kerney. Her book is called Pure Unadulterated Me. She is running for governor on the Democratic ticket in the state of Washington. I wish you all the best, Alona. Good to have you come in the studio. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good to have you. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Mike Moore. Here's the latest from the Black Information Network. The conviction of Donald Trump is uniting the Republican Party. That's what African-American South Carolina Senator Tim Scott told Fox News Sunday. Scott said so-called never-Trumpers are now backing the Trump campaign, noting a surge of small donor donations to the campaign following Trump's conviction last week. Hunter Biden is in a Delaware federal courtroom today for his firearms case. Jury selection is underway in the trial of the president's son. Biden is accused of illegally buying and possessing a gun while being addicted to drugs in 2018. Hunter's stepmom, First Lady Jill Biden, and half-sister Ashley Biden are in attendance at the courthouse as well. It marks the first time in U.S. history the child of a sitting president has gone on trial. And that's the latest. I'm Mike Moore from your 24/7 news source, the Black Information Network and BINnews.com.
Find the perfect Father's Day gift with Macy's.
Simone Biles let the world know she's ready for the Summer Olympics this year in Paris. The 4-time Olympic gold medalist won the all-around competition Sunday at the